Welcome back to the lab. It's morning. I think it's Thursday morning. I'm not really sure about that. I'll confirm and get back to you on that later. Phil, mate. Phil, I know you're watching. Yesterday's video I commented on our... does it deserve to be called a milling machine? This thing is not... I've relabeled it. The labels, I put that away over there, just for now, while I look at this. And I've said that we're not going to use the milling machine to do the holes in here because it's only got 25 millimeters of travel. And I showed you why it's doing that. Phil pointed out the quill's supposed to come up and it's supposed to stop against the O-ring, and they advertise as having 50 millimeters of travel. I know they are. I looked into them when I bought the thing, and it didn't at the time. And I was just like, well, what do you expect? You know, it's a cheap thing that comes from a country which we're not going to mention, that has lots of horrible things come out of it from time to time. And I just forgot about it. It was like, whatever, it is what it is, and just use it as it is. We sorted the little issue out with this thing. This is supposed to be a really good brand. This has some issues as well, but we'll work around those. That's fine. We'll get on with it. So Phil pointed out it's supposed to have 50 millimeters travel, and of course that got on my nerves. I came out here this morning, not him pointing it out, but yes, knowing that it is supposed to have 50 millimeters travel, and it did only have like 25, and I just accepted it. But this morning I decided I really want to use this effing thing to have more than 25 millimeters of travel. Let's look into it. So I pulled a few things to pieces, and in the end I ended up looking, I couldn't figure out anything in here that was stopping it. Then I looked at these screws on this mechanical magnetic strip here that runs our little gauge on the front there, and I noticed these screws are bent. They're bent down, and something is stopping this from going up. And I thought, hang on a minute, that looks like this has got something to do with it. Some dork at the factory needs to get himself a new ruler or something, because that magnetic strip is coming up through that and hitting on the casting, and that's the end of that. It doesn't go any further. Now it could be that this needs pushing back. That might be what's wrong. This is supposed to go behind the casting, not crash into the casting. But either way, this thing has never had 50 millimeters of travel from the factory. Not when I got it. Never, ever. So this morning it'll be fixed, and we'll put it all back together, and we'll carry on with this. I've drilled some more holes in this. This is starting to look awesome. Told you I was going to put some ribs on the outside of it. Look at this. Looks like something you bought from a factory, doesn't it? Not bad, considering the gear we've got to deal with. Some of that gear not really up to blooming standards. Grr. So the next step is we want to align this. I did the other one on the 4-jaw chuck, right? So I offset it so it's spinning about there, and then I went in there with the boring tool. But with this one, I think I'm going to use a mill bit, and I'm going to go straight down the center of there and hope for the best. See what happens. I hope I don't destroy it. There's, I don't know, 4 hours working so far. It'd be a shame to ruin it. $100 worth of material, $500 part just there right now. Anyway, fix this pile of stuff, and we'll get on with that. Yep, alignment of that. It's supposed to go behind there. See, that hits there. Give it a push, and the quill goes all the way up. So that's that. Anyway, shall I sarcastically say thanks to Phil, or a genuine thanks? No, good point. I should have fixed that a long time ago. It will be done now. It's just basically done now. I just tightened a few things up, and we'll be good to go. We're nearly at 11 o'clock. I better hurry up. Wow, generous with their 50 millimeters, aren't they? Don't want to give you too much travel. Well, that's been an absolute mission, but I'm pretty happy with that. Less than 0.05. Remembering, of course, we've got 0.2 of slop in brand new CV joints. Another 2 days to make, make that one there. They're getting faster, actually. That thing there is broken again. Brush is on the way out again. It's hopeless. Oops, I forgot to turn my little thing off. Now I've got this working, I've left it on. Definitely looking into a brushless motor kit for that. What a pile of crap. Well, you guys will be sick of seeing the DTI. You just have to take my word for it. 0.05 of a millimeter run out here. 0.15 there. It's a little bit higher on this end. Like I say, there's actually a reasonable amount of movement in those joints. So that's negligible. This will run in its natural center. And it'll be gold. Or cadmium plated at least, like that is. It sounds like it's rubbing. It is rubbing. Need to put that somewhere else. Can't have that just kicking around like that, Glenn. Oh, that's got hard to poke that up in there with one hand. Get out of there. It'll do. Now it won't make that noise. Beautiful. Apparently our thermostat's just arrived. So guess what I'm doing this afternoon? I'm going to grab that. Not particularly light or heavy. Reasonable sort of weight for what it is. Oh, I've got a bit of aluminium swarf trying to stab my finger. That is heavy. For what it's doing, that is very heavy. Gonna get that bit of swarf out of my thumb. Can you see it? No, I can't see it either. But anyway, what's that? 1,230. Take away 780. Oh, I'm not going to do the maths. Too hard. Lighter. But more importantly, that is way more accurate dimensionally. And the correct length for the shaft and everything. So you'd... Alright. Drive shafts off to get balanced. Drop that off with Mark. Get it done when he can. He's a busy man. We're doing an unboxing. An unbagging. Yay! It's going to go heaps better because it says it's a racing one. That'll make it go fast. Right, so these are... Oh, I think they're 68 degrees C opening temperature. It probably says on the box, doesn't it? You would think. Does it say? Doesn't say on that side. Does it say on that side? Nah. It doesn't say anywhere. Alright. It's just a racing thermostat. Surely it's got it written on it somewhere. No, it doesn't look like it does. Well, that is just bizarre. It doesn't say on there either. It's got their name all over it. There. 68 degrees C. That's going to be a lot better than our Trident POS that's supposed to be operating at 78.6 or something like that, which should give us about 82, 83 operating temp, and it's running at 93. It's durable, so we'll put this in. See how that goes. It's going to take 5 minutes. A very long 5 minutes, because our thermostat lives up in here behind that. That is attached to the differential, and it's behind all the oil lines for the turbos, and it's behind the intercooler, and the intercooler is full of water, and oh yeah, fun. Never mind. There's been a miracle. I managed to get that out without taking anything else to pieces. Nothing. I took the hose off it, undid the bolts, and pulled it out of the car. So pretty happy with that. I have to apologise. That is not a Trident one. That is a Motorrad. So unless that's a Trident brand. But anyway, I need to test that and confirm my suspicions that that is opening very, very late. No good. You can already see that just from sitting for a couple of months with, well, it might not even been that long, water in there rather than antifreeze, we've got corrosion going on already. So yucky, yucky. So brand new thermostat. First thing I do, take it to pieces, put an AN fitting on there instead of the pressed in barb, hose barb. Don't need that. These ones are good because they're screwed in. You can take them apart and fiddle with them. This one obviously not. There's no taking that apart. Yes, there is. If you press that in and turn it around, it'll come undone. Huh. So this happens to be the same as what was in the car before. Mishimoto 68 degrees, and that's why that one's being replaced. The seal failed on it. Probably could have just ripped that all right off and it would have continued to operate satisfactorily, but we're not about that. So I will keep that as a spare, put it all back together and put it back in the car. Hopefully it's going to be very, very hard to put a couple of the bolts in, but I'll give it a go. Right, it's all bled up, ready to go. I've run the electric water pump, bypassed the relay. One of these, still haven't got our new battery. Couriers. That thermostat was ordered on Monday or Tuesday. It's Thursday now. Before that finally turned up. That's Couriers in New Zealand. I've just used the old battery, ran the water pump, bled up the cooling system. Pretty good. We'll see what it does when the engine runs. A point of note was the Motorrad thermostat, the little bleed toggle thingy, it was not directly at the top. That is not good when you're trying to bleed things up. It actually makes it really hard to get all the air out of the system. But I don't think that had any influence on the thing running too hot. Which reminds me, we need to check this. I'll do that on camera for you for a bit of a laugh. We'll see what it is actually opening at and see whether maybe it's an issue with the plumbing in the car. I doubt it. Or whether it's that just runs too hot, which does happen. Everyone can argue about it and say it's because I let it get a little bit rusty because it sat with water in it rather than antifreeze. I won't care. We got a new fancy racing thermostat. It'll go better. So we've got our pin right coolant in there. Cool. So we're getting closer. I think I've said for a little while now, if we had to race next weekend, we probably would be able to do that without being silly. There is a bit of cosmetic stuff on the outside of the car to deal with, a few screws and whatnot that would need to be tidied up, finish off fitting the splitter and the diffuser on the back and some under tray and stuff like that. But that's, you know, if I had a week to do that, we'd be fine. As it stands, we've got 5 weeks, 6 weeks, something like that. So we should be all right. It just depends on what we're allowed to do as far as getting the car tuned with all this stuff and things with the virus. Alright, smashed another little goal I had set for our channel today, our YouTube channel. I'm not saying what that particular goal was, but I had set it considerably lower earlier on. Smashed that, bumped it up. Smashed that, bumped it up. We're now like 100% better off than what we were a couple of months ago, so stoked. Thanks for the support. And with that, cheers, bye.